There we go. Good morning. We have a relatively light attendance today. I'm going to dispense with the singing, but we will start with the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Paul, would you lead us in the invocation? Come on. Father, we thank you for this. Amen. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming in this morning for our Kiwanis meeting. Quote of the day. What could we accomplish if we knew we could not fail? Eleanor Roosevelt. This is National EMS Week. It's a week that we celebrate every year to honor all of the EMS professionals around the country, and particularly locally. Mayo's got a number of things going on this week. Mayo started in the EMS building built business in 1972, took over from Phil Annis. Until that point, if you needed an ambulance, you called the funeral home, and Phil put a red light on top of the hearse and he went to pick you up. If you made it, you got to the hospital. If you didn't, you were already halfway home to him. So it worked out pretty well. I was talking to Charlie Merrill the other night, Jane's husband, and he said, I used to drive the ambulance for him when I was in high school. He said it was really great because I got to drive very powerful vehicles very fast. And the nurse, Charlie Merrill, he said, the nurses don't normally go that fast. The great news cars, because rarely do they drive more than 50 miles an hour. But he said, I used to get to drive it really fast. And he said, there was no first aid. We didn't do anything. It was a transport service. We went to your house, put you on a stretcher, put you in the ambulance, rushed you to the hospital, and they took care of everything. But EMS has come a long way since that time. And Mayo has built a really high quality EMS service. We now have bases in Dexter, Dover, and Corinth. And our current director of emergency medical services is Brent Watson. Brent's a nurse who's run our emergency department for several years. Also runs our intensive care unit. Some people call him Brad. Inside joke. But Brent took over within the past year as director of our EMS services. And he's going to give us an update today on what's going on with EMS, with Mayo EMS and things. I know there's many rumors in the community about transition for Mayo EMS's role. And, Brent and I want to let you know that that's not going to be the case. Mayo is still here and strong and develop the EMS. So please give a warm Kiwanis welcome to Brent Watson.
Morning, thank you, Dave. Dave's already from giving my whole lecture. So he does a great job of introducing everyone. Well, it's been a very warm welcome already this morning. So just a little bit about myself, as Dave has already alluded to in his introduction. I've been at Mayo now for a little over 4 years. I started just before COVID started. Prior to that, I came from Light Flight of Maine. I was a flight nurse for around 14 years, working with Northern Light. Started back in 01 at Eastern Maine Medical Center, working there in Minnesota, and slowly made my way up to Light Flight and out here in management and overseeing multiple departments at Mayo. It's one of those things. It's one of those professions that just keeps driving. You have to have that drive. I started back in EMS back when I was 17 years old. I grew up in a small community in Adelante, Maine. I don't know where Adelante is, but I was part of the volunteer fire department up there. Started with EMS there through Lincoln, Valley Hospital, and slowly made my way up the ranks and where I'm at today. there's, one of those things where, when you get out in the community, you start taking care of folks in emergency medicine, it's allowed me to meet a lot of interesting folks. I think this is why, my hobbies also involve, the public. I've been a registered Maine guide for about 20 years now. So I meet a lot of folks, not only in the state, but out of state. So it allows a lot of networking, which I think is very important in this role that I'm currently in. So the Mayo EMS, when I first got introduced to Mayo EMS, was back, oh boy, it's been a long time now, back in, I think it was 93, 94, is when I first came out here. I took a critical care or coordinated care class with Judy Garrett. Back in the day, I remember taking us to lunch now to, I think it was House of Pizza or something back then, or it was a pizza shop that she got pizza from. But Judy had spoken very highly of hospital back then, and EMS service, and all the services that this community provides. So, looking forward, and like Dave said, EMS has been providing service, Mayo EMS has been providing service here for almost 50 years. That's pretty remarkable. Really start thinking about the longevity and support that the ambulance services give this community and surrounding communities. So we were discussing earlier about the service area. There has been, as I started back in December, we've been kind of revamping, re-looking at things and analyzing different areas of EMS and what needs to be done, what has been done, and what we can do forward to really increase our service to the community. And one of the things that we noticed is that there was a little snafu in some of the paperwork at the state level, and we are working on that currently to really define our borders of what we cover as far as our primary response area. Currently, they have it basically broken down in county. So right now, it looks like we cover the static was Penobscot and Rooster counties, which we don't respond to Fort Camp or anywhere else like that. So that's not our primary area. So we've been in contact with the state. We're working on that and really coming down with well-defined borders of what our primary response is. Not saying that we will ever respond as mutual aid or outside influence, but really kind of focus and get what primary is all about. So the increased demand, we went through COVID. As you all know, COVID has really highlighted a lot of areas of not only need, but what is going to be needed for the future and how we need to adapt as a community, as a healthcare system. So looking at COVID, we were able to provide a very high level of care at a very critical time. There was a lot of times when in Piscataquis County, we had a very aging population in this area, and COVID hit us hard. That's the reality of the situation. There was a lot of, not only the COVID virus, but we also had flu. We had other comorbidities, we have COPD, heart failure, and the list goes on and on. So, but in that time, our EMS service was able to support all the folks in the community and other towns to really provide that support that they need for well-defined healthcare. They can't witness that really a great county for at that level. And at how quick it really came about. It was one day not masking, the next day masking. So it wasn't a gradual, let's kind of get our feet wet, see how this all plays out. It was, we were diving head first. And there was a lot of things that had happened very quickly. And I think we surrounded that very well and really came on top. And really provided a very high level of care to a lot of folks that were in stress at that time. So we were looking at the other things, we talked about the emergency needs a lot. There's other things that people overlook a lot of times. The Mayo EMS, we've provided services for the Woody Pie Festival, the new races, sporting events here at FA. We have many staff that are involved in teddy bear clinics, car seat installations, and oversight and safety programs So there's a lot of things that really don't get seen on a large scale that we still provide a lot of services. And I think that's really important to recognize that an ambulance is not just about going out, taking it from point A to point B. It's really, it's made up of 90%, I'm guessing, is local folks that are working on ambulances. So they have a direct tie in this area, and they have an investment that they want to take care of their community, their loved ones, their friends, their family. So I think that's very important to recognize that, you know, we're not this kind of separate entity. We're, in fact, we're part of the community themselves. And I think that's really important to highlight. As Dave said too, education, we have a very high level of education. I have high expectations of folks that work with us. We're now that we're kind of Northern Light has got stronger. We have more oversight as far as chart audits, education programs, skills days, guest speakers that come in and provide services. And it's not just the care part of it, but it's also, you know, how do we write run sheets better? How do we document better? I think that's all of it very important, not only from a legal aspect, from a billing aspect, from a care aspect. The better we write a note in the trucks and in the ambulances, the better the providers are able to take care of the patients. So I think that it's all very tied together. Hiring, they hired me back in December. Again, we've been really working at building our program, building our team. It's very much a team atmosphere. There's no, you know, let's do it by ourselves or anything else. We really want to make sure this is a collaborative effort, working together, working with the community, hearing what their needs are. We've hired several folks since I started in December. Most of them just got off training here. We do anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks of training, you know, through. So it's very robust training. They have to be, have to find a sign off, myself and the other educators. So we do hold them to a very high level of not only initial education, but continuing education, which is very important because we've all heard the term, you don't need speakers, right? And there's sometimes, you know, in this world, you know, we can't always have all the heart attacks, so we can't have all the strokes, you know, so, you know, you may see a heart attack every once in a while, for example, but it doesn't mean that we should be any less proficient. So we've got to maintain our skill set and making sure that we are really providing that high level of care that is needed. We have several EMT basics right now that are finishing up. One of them just finished up for advanced level. So that's the other thing that's really important to us at NMS is continuing education and supporting our folks that want to progress and learn more and further their professional growth. So right now we have, I think, 3 or 4 right now that are graduating their advanced level EMT, which is great. Fully support that. I've already spoken to 2 of them that are interested in going on for their medic. And again, we're growing our, we're taking folks from the community that have an interest in medicine, EMS, and growing them into the professionals that they want to be. I think that's a huge part of having a organization that has their employees backs and wants to see them succeed. So that's wonderful. Growing, speaking of growing, you know, we've trying to figure out how do we meet. Last year, we saw approximately 900 patients just from the events, and that doesn't come this sort of year. So that's a big challenge. So, you know, looking at a restructure of how, you know, hours are set up, we add a 3rd ambulance at the building base. You know, so there's been a lot of these discussions trying to figure out how we do this. We have extra ambulances, and that's the other great thing about being partnered up with Local Light Transport is that we have kind of unlimited resources. Really. We have extra ambulances in Bangor that we pull the ambulance to help offset ours. And because again, reality is reality. You know, ambulances break down, people get sick, it happens. So by having this relationship with more than like, we're able to borrow an ambulance for a day or two while one's being fixed, we're able to share staff, which is like very closely with them and provide better coverage across the board for many of these towns. So and that's done well so far. For right now, I'm guessing we've done probably 10 job shares right now and trained people at a monthly basis over the last 2 to 3 months. So a lot of work is going into providing coverage and providing. Moving forward, again, we're going to continue to provide high level of response to this area. The response in the 900 calls, you know, I keep saying the word reality. Reality is no system is perfect. So I'm not going to stand up here and lie. The reality of it is, I think our package speaks volumes. There are a few calls, a handful of calls out of those 900 that folks can pick apart and say, you know, they weren't here or there at certain times. But that is very rare. And if you look at the breakdown, I wouldn't even call it delays. I mean, this is part of the normal operating procedure to get to people as quickly as we can. There is no guarantees like I would be at someone's residence in 5 minutes. That's unrealistic. You set yourself up to do. So I think that, you know, as we look forward to the future, how do we need to surround it so we are consistently meeting a standard, and that's what we need to look at. In working in collaboration with other organizations, collaboration is going to be key. No one can do this alone. So we have to work with more than like other organizations to really come together as a team and through a collaborative effort provide the best service we can. If we split and go our separate ways and try to do things on our own, these kind of silos, it will never work. So we really got to come together and really focus on providing this high level of care together and not separate it. So we really need to figure that out. There's been lots of discussions surrounding what the future is going to be. I will tell you, I've heard some of the rumors, as Dave said earlier, you know, that, you know, it's just going to be a transport service and we're not doing that. That is not the case. That is not the expectation. We will continue to move forward, providing high level 911 response as well as transports. Just because someone gets from their residence to Mayo ER doesn't mean the care stops. This, as great as we are as Mayo, as great as we are at Mayo, there are certain people in reality. We don't have an interventional catheter, okay? Nor a done with like we do. The volume's not there. It's just hard to meet some of these regulations. However, we have one 40 minutes down the road, which is available to us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So taking care of the community is more than just going to their residents and then bring them to the hospital. It's that continuous care all the way to that final product. Because just because we stabilize at Mayo, they still need further interventions to really get them home back to their lives. So getting into a path lab again, that requires high level trained personnel to get from ER to the path lab. So there are times in order to serve the community, we have to take an ambulance out of the town for a brief period of time. Doesn't mean that we can't still respond on that return leg of the trip. We absolutely can. So there's all kinds of these little things that play into it. Currently, right now, on any given day, we have 2 to 3 trucks, mostly 2 in Dover right now. We have 1 in Dexter and 1 in Corinth. So that's 4 ambulances, all within basically 1 minutes. There's not one time that all the trucks are really out, you know, doing transports. We always try to maintain at least 1 truck in the immediate area for emergency calls. I wish we could say we have unlimited trucks that we would always have a truck available at the second of the day, but it's not reality. an accident, we can have multiple calls at the same time. And again, you prioritize, you triage, that's part of emergency service, and you get to the people that need you first, and you get them where they need to go, and you provide on the care. So I think looking forward, you know, we've had a long history of support to the Dover-Foxcroft area, and we're looking forward to many, many years ahead to continue to provide that service. That's all I have. I appreciate all the, you know, warm welcomes this morning, and what happened yesterday. So.
Right. Yeah. Fire department, what we're saying. I just don't see that.
I mean, I can't speak to the town side of things. I can tell you, we have ample room, at our base right now, 2 hours, up to 6 hours. So we have space available, to do that. And again, working collaboratively with each other, is going to be the best thing. We have agreements right now, many of the surrounding towns, work very well with Corinth, where we have a ambulance at their station right now. We staff it with our personnel. They provide a driver. Utilize their driver, their personnel, and that. It happens, but overall, it's a very good working relationship with providing partners. So there are other options. You have them.
Right, you have a follow-up question. Right.
Good. Are you able to find out people?
Right. So the staffing, and again, I'm not going to say that we like it, that has been a very big challenge. I think a lot of people during COVID got out of it for a number of different reasons. One was fear, you know, they didn't want to get sick. And then there's others that kind of gone through and really was medicated individuals that got us through that. And looking forward, again, we've hired new folks, working team hired, we have started job postings right now. We want to make this an area that we want to work, so we're looking at schedule, what can we do to optimize them coming, staying with us. So right now, we do have the capability of, you know, scheduling 8:30 on some of the days that we're able to get. What we can do, again, not that we've done that yet, discussions.
I would say Northern Light Medical Transport, the larger entity within the system that oversees ambulance operations in Greenville, Sebastian Valley Hospital, Presque Isle, and of course Bangor as well. They're partnering with Medic Partners and regional EMS agency to offer basic EMS course in Greenville starting in August as subscribed. So we're looking for opportunities like that to provide the entry-level education for people that are interested in EMS careers. Those are students that pass on that. I think it's Phil.
You know, we go on that. We have programs set up right now. We work role programs where we're actually paying individuals then work for us afterwards. So those have been very well received programs. A lot of people, because sometimes it's hard to take that initial step, starting a career, starting position. So I think the support is there.
You get paid to go to school. So
Yeah.
Suffer with that. Could you talk a little bit about the career trajectory for an EMS professional?
Sure.
But you mentioned it's not an 8 to 12 week course to be basic EMS. It's then how long do people stay as a basic before they go to the next level? What are the next levels?
Sure. The progression, so to speak, is a lot of times folks will start off as a operator, provider. Then they will move up to a basic EMT. It all depends on what their professional goals are, how long they want to stay as a basic. Nothing says that they have to move on. but a high majority of our folks that are getting into it are getting that higher level. So, right now, like I said, we have 3 or 4 that just graduated, from the process of graduating from the advanced level, which is the next level of basic. And then the next stepping stone above advanced is the paramedic level. And the paramedic levels right now, the programs, right in the neighborhood, 14, 16 months right now. And they are actually, there's been discussion at the state level, about being back into the, 2-year program, after some of the, so there's a lot of things coming down. Like, so how that is all set up. Paramedics, it looks like, because it really is a specialized skill set, and these people should be recognized for it. It's been a long way to do today.
Paul, you had a question, right?
Yep. Yes.
Absolutely. We do and they don't. So Three Rivers has gone through a transition over the last several years related to many of the factors that Brent talked about. People burning out and just stepping away from the EMS career for period of time. They didn't have staffing most of the time. And so when that happens, our ambulances go recover Milo or Brownville or Grange for them. Three Rivers is in the process of rebuilding. And now they're, I'd say at least half the time now they've got crew available. So they are the primary response for Three Rivers area. But they might have a situation where they just have a basic EMT. They can still get there, but if someone needs cardiac arrest treatment, our paramedics will go to the scene and bring the higher levels of EMS. We are committed to the ambulance business.
And that's something like how do you get into this?
I know, I talked with Sheriff Young and with Tom Lightford's deputy. They are concerned that there are times when their dispatch teams don't have a ready ambulance that they can send to someone to reassure them the ambulance is on the way. What we're doing is trying to minimize the number of times that happens. But as Brent said, there's the major resource limitation right now is the qualified personnel. If you were to open a separate service, say the county decided to bring the EMS work business and spend millions of dollars on buying ambulances and buildings to house them and things like that. That's not going to automatically draw new EMS professionals to the community unless we're paying them above market rates. We're paying competitive market rates for what we're doing. So if you do that, say a municipality wanted to, they're going to hire people from the local talent pool, which is going to increase the talent pool available to serve the rest of the county. So say Milford wanted to start its own paramedic service. That would be good for the people in Milford, but there'd be fewer people working for that service, which is covering everybody else in the region.
Absolutely, and to add a little bit more to that, what Dave said is 100% spot on. The other component of that is, like I said earlier, there's no staff who would pay for it. So talking to the dispatchers, they were looking at it, oh, they cover Penobscot, Scotticus, and Lewiston County. Okay, so they were looking at us to respond to their neighbors done on a routine basis. So, now that we've realized what that paperwork statute was, and we're working through correcting that, that's going to provide their dispatchers a better understanding of how to dispatch the appropriate ambulance in that time. So it's not just one thing, it's like I said earlier, it's a very collaborative effort. We all have to work together as a team to make sure that we're getting those resources the way they need to in a timely and efficient manner. So we are gonna be, myself, Andy McGraw, and Kevin Foley, they're both from Wood Night Transport. We are setting up a meeting right now to meet with all the local areas as far as their fire chiefs, dispatchers, sheriff, et cetera, and discuss some of these things and kind of put all our heads together and say, all right, what are some of the things that we've encountered and how can we correct them, or what's working well, like what's not working well, and come up with a plan so better service. You have a question?
We celebrate here today, and I would like to be more candid for those of us who know this community builders, and to explain to me why the fire department accept they can build this service. Asking them to take that. I would like to know the real story here.
Yeah, I wish I could elaborate on that. Unfortunately, I'm not part of the fire department, so I don't know what their thoughts are or anything like that. I think they're very well intended. But like Dave said, we have to worry about splitting resources versus bringing resources together for one collaborative effort. So I think that's a very important thing.
I would be speculating if I were to speak to that topic. And
Yes, I
want to live in the world of speculation. We do have proven models of successful collaboration with other regions, as Brent mentioned before. We work with the fire department. We provide the person in the back of the ambulance, which is where you need the licensed professional. You don't need to be a paramedic to drive the ambulance. So they provide us with a driver, and who likes to drive big, fancy, great, fast. They provide that service for us. If you go back to the town of Dexter, for years, Dexter Fire ran their own EMS service. And in the mid-1990s, they realized that they were not professionals in EMS services. They didn't know how to do the billing for EMS services. They were struggling to find personnel for that. And the town of Dexter was underwriting into hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. They were losing money on the service. And they just said, we can't continue to do this as part of Dexter Fire. We're too small of a town, too small of a department to do it. So they came to Ralph about the time as a hospital CEO and said, how can Mayo help? And with Mayo take over ambulance operations here at Dexter. At that point, we had an operation at Dexter. We also ended up taking over the operation at Corinth. We eventually merged them by putting them in one base in the Dexter Corinth. That was where it really well for us. But that fire department, they tried for years to sustain the EMS presence. And they couldn't do that 24/7. So we now have 24/7.
This is those who choose to work as free.
Awesome. And the taxpayers of Dover-Foxcroft will be on the hook for hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to ongoing expenses. What I've heard from people at the town level, and we have one of our town select people here today, Jamie, speak a little bit to this. But, the first year costs are being funded by leftover money from the recovery. So it's being explained to taxpayers who know, oh, there's no money that you have to put into it because we have all of this. It will be an issue in year 2, 3, and 4. For the expenses, and I already have. And the other thing is, I've also heard, well, the mill rate really won't go up that much. Now, the mill rate's not going up because the assessed valuations are going up. So if the property value went up by $50,000, your taxes are going to go up even if the mill rate doesn't adjust. But it will have an impact. The taxpayers will be paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for this service, which is being advertised as being about $30. So Mayo would still have to cover 28 hours a week if it's not static.
They're about the 135. Yeah, no idea.
And I think they're, you know, I can't speak for the fire department, their motivations and thought process behind it. But I can tell you that there has been a lot of towns, I grew up in a town, which is a volunteer service. We tried at one point and it's just not feasible. To say that you're just gonna respond to 911 calls and not have an increase in taxpayers, it's not realistic. A lot of these companies, whether it's Milo, Howland, any of these other smaller towns that have EMS available, they all subsidize by doing transfers. And when you have one ambulance, you can't do that and still provide 911 coverage. So again, I think, you know, working together as a team and collaboratively discussing different options is a much more feasible option.
I will say that we have been in open discussions with the local fire department about opportunities and models for collaboration. But they have proposals in front of them that they would allow for them to have a more active role in EMS response, but collaborating with regional resources. They've also made it clear that they're going to respond in the response. If somebody's having a heart attack in Guilford and Mayo's not available, you're not going to go to Guilford and take care of it because they're being funded by the taxpayers.
Segue. Have a sense of comfort, you have something like that, you straight up. Yes. How he's really taking that project.
Yeah.
But can you tell everybody a little bit about that?
Well, there's a lot of things behind that. One, it's introducing a younger population to the world of EMS. Also, it's also building those relationships so that when you do respond to a residence, whether it is a family member or even that child, that they're not scared of those individuals like showing up in this big truck, like Dave said, with flashing lights and everything else. That's a lot for a child to comprehend and understand. So it really opens those doors for those children to not only be relaxed and invite those other people that want to help them into that area of need, but also introducing them to the profession. And I think that's been huge, not only from paramedics, but from nursing as well. So imagine there's a wonderful job there. And I think as we build our service and bring new folks in, encourage these new programs, not only are we supporting EMS, but we're supporting hospitals and getting people that are maybe just starting their careers, just getting out of high school, and what do I want to be when I grow up, sort of thing. You know, what do I want to be when I go to college? What do I, my area of study, should I be focused on that? So I really think that really, again, opens up those gateways for that whole environment. So I think it's a wonderful program. I hope it continues. And again, imagine he's fantastic, good personality, good attitude.
And a member of the class.
There you go. And we talk about, you know, staples in the community. We talk about Bill Shepherd earlier. So that adds to that, you know, as we bring new folks in, folks are going to be introduced to some of these new hires that we bring in. And I think that it's encouraging people to move to the area, you know, when they have a good call, so to speak, or they have good interaction with the community. It all builds that sense of worth and accountability. So I think that, you know, getting new folks involved, introducing the community to them to the community, again, it builds those people that when they show up, but I remember seeing you at the video. I remember seeing you at the new race or a book by festival, or whatever the case may be. And again, it's that sense of ease that we know the person that's coming to take care. So I think it's really important to build those relationships.
Other questions? Great.
One question, thinking back in the COVID, truly, the EMS issue is not a Dover-Foxcroft, it's not Mayo, it's not the steps, coming into the nation. And so going back to COVID,
one of the strong messages that we thrown out as far as EMS is a lot of people are dropping because they don't want to get the promotion. They don't want to do this. So, in your experience, how they have come back, and or is there still a mandate to have vaccination?
The mandates for healthcare workers in hospital settings for any COVID vaccinations have.
So theoretically, there should be thousands of people coming back. Because
Many of them found alternative careers. We had a nurse who had a building. Very
we need
successful.
those too.
We need those too, yeah. But, we need nurses. I think the EMS mandate went away as well.
Yes,
And that's actually brought people back into the business.
and indeed, right, and EMS was lagging behind a little bit from the hospital side of things. But that is in the process, and that is being cleared up, requires the mandate. I will say, though, the general contractor that you speak about has come back. So she does work for Dean for us and does a great job. We are very fortunate to have her back. But it is one of those things where a lot of them have found other careers. Because of fear that healthcare was in at that time with COVID, in their own personal safety. So, they've gone on to other things. They always have that education. They are always welcome back. They can call me today or tomorrow, and I'll welcome them back to open arms. So, I think that as we look forward to this, how do we approach this? Yeah, COVID is one of those things that highlighted a lot of years. It's not the last we're going to see of this. We're going to see different things come down, but it's how do you respond, how do you adapt to those changes in healthcare and other areas to really provide the same level of care.
And if you're not a person, can you walk us through that dispatch call? I live in Maryland, feeling heavy in the heart, and I don't know what happens.
So, yep. So it goes to the 911 operator. The 911 operator. This is where there needs to be a better infrastructure at the state level. Because we have a lot of towns that their borders are on the borders of the counties, whether it's Penobscot, Scottsdale, or Worcester. And so it depends on when they type in that address, when it comes up on that system, it basically tells them what service is the primary service and who to call first. And then they said, we also have mutual aid agreements. So if Milo's not available, Newport's not available, then we will provide that mutual aid to also get them in. We want to take care of the patient. Okay, it's not just about numbers and confusing calls. We want to take care of the patient and get to the person they need first. So looking at that structure, it really, right out of the gate, plays a lot on that 911 operator and what ambulance service is coming up as their primary service area. Because we ran into this the other night, which was interesting. Again, this is when we come together as a group, which is coming in June 6th. June 6th. We're coming together, and this is going to be one of those discussions that we're going to have. The Sebastopol ambulance was responding to a call right on the other side of Dexter. Well, the way the EMS base in Dexter is set up, the location, we were actually 5 minutes away at the Dexter base from that person, but they told no Sebastopol because of the way it came up in the 911 system. So they took them 15 minutes when we could have got there in 5. I mean, luckily it wasn't a critical call or anything like that. But again, it highlights some of those deficiencies in that infrastructure on the 911 system and making sure that everyone has good communication. It would be really, a lot of people rely on this computer systems very heavily. And again, it's only good as the person that goes in the program or etc. So sometimes it's easier to pull up a map and say, yeah, the address is here. what's the closest base, you know, but again, playing into that whole, whose primary area is it versus who is late. So it does depend on that, first.
So the next stage.
State level, yes.
So we will
They
be
come.
our representatives to say the problem.
Yep, and that's part of this meeting that we're having to discuss this and what can we take to the state level as a proposal on how to fix this. And if we talk to the sheriff, he would be the first one to say this has happened multiple times on the roads of some of these towns. Trying to figure out what road, maybe roads being built every day, right? So, you know, it's trying to figure out what's the closest service, for what that's there. So,
To answer your question, the 911 operator has a series of computer-based algorithms. I'm having a chest pain, so they look up the chest pain algorithm. They start to ask me a bunch of questions. If, you know, you call and say, gee, my loved one doesn't seem to be responding, they'll talk you through an initial assessment. They'll talk you through how to do BLS. And that sort of stuff, all of the additional information. On their screen, they have knowledge of the different units, ambulances, continuous communication with them, and they get dispatched. They're shown it to be dedicated to this particular call. They let them know when they arrive at the emergency department. So when they're back in the area, close to service, they let them know when they leave the emergency department to back to base, knowing that they are fully available to connect, phone out for the next. But they go through this algorithm to find out what the urgency is with that. Some things are relatively simple, it's just a lift assist. Can't get up. Dispatch the ambulance for that. People think that every time the ambulance runs, we get paid for it. That's not the case. We get paid for people that we transport to a hospital. And we get paid if we go to the scene and have to do something like, very aggressive treatment. If that person doesn't respond and doesn't get transported, we can deal with that. But if we get called to your house and you just need lift assistance, you fell out of bed, mobility issues, you can't get back in bed yourself, we don't get paid for this. If we get called in a car accident, that we assess you pretty comprehensively, and we recommend that you come to the hospital and do some thank you, we don't get paid for that. Even if you subsequently get in another vehicle and drive to the hospital, actually drive you to the hospital where you're still seen, we don't get paid for that. So an awful lot of the work we do essentially feel done for the good of the community, but not in purpose.
Especially that's fuel, that's personnel you pay for, wear and tear on vehicles. And that's all something, we talk about having resources, that's the depth of having, trucks available to us, to breaks down, et cetera. But it's not that, it's a very complex, issue.
Maybe so, if the person doesn't want to do this by race, they're gonna get their.
Sometimes it's a matter of pride. I'm well enough, I don't feel like I don't need to care. I'm sure, in an area where
Medicare.
people have high deductible health insurance plans, that's okay. It's in every decision you make.
As you say,
It is built, it's built for your insurance.
Medicare, and then I hope for something that was, I think.
Yeah.
I did that.
and we write off a lot of clients, we really do. We work with insurance companies, billing aspect is very complex. But again, we don't want to discourage people, so we try not to talk about the billing aspect of that. We want to make sure that people take care of, and make sure that they're focusing on themselves versus how they're going to pay for the scan for a bit. So we try to discourage that type of discussion. Again, the reality is these are things that people worry about when they do call some, a loved one calls for their significant other, or a daughter or son comes in and finds mom and dad, or they immediately call 911 before they really assess the situation And they get there, mom, dad's like, I'm good, I don't want to go. Those are things that, you know, we all think.
The blood pressure was 35 and it wasn't responding, but I got it back up. Okay, I'm going to transport it.
That is another issue, regarding, I need a ride to go over. Let's call 911. Is that?
You see that? You see that? You know, I dropped a peanut butter jar on my toe and I think it's broken, and they call the ambulance and they'll take me to the hospital, and they will. And we do get paid for it. But then they're at the emergency department and they say, how am I gonna get back to Derby? I don't have a ride. And we, at times, we end up having to pay $150 for a taxi.